Right, let's dive straight into this explainer. If you're a parent, you have absolutely been there. Standing in the middle of the supplement aisle, just completely paralyzed by that massive wall of brightly colored bottles. You know the ones, promising immune support, better sleep, the whole shebang. Well, today, we're taking that attractive little gummy bottle and we're turning it around. We really want to discover what you're actually giving your child, so we're going to master the art of reading supplement labels.
But before you hand over that next gummy, here's the exact sequence we'll be using to decode the bottle. We'll start with the front label illusion, then move on to decoding the serving size, ingredients and daily values, warnings, blends and seals, the 9-part label check, and finally, consulting a professional. Okay, part 1. The front label illusion, marketing versus substance. Naturally, we start by looking right at the front of the bottle, right? I mean, it's literally designed to grab our attention with bright colors and those big commercial promises. But we really need to look closer.
Just look at the stark contrast between the front and the back of the bottle here. The front label, that's really just a starting point for marketing. Phrases like supports immunity or promotes focus, those are just structure or function claims. They aren't disease cures. The front tells us what the company wants us to notice, but the back label, the actual supplement facts panel, well, that's what actually matters. That's what empowers you to ask the right questions about what your child is going to consume.
Moving on to part 2, decoding the serving size, which is really the foundation of label math. So let's shift to the top of that back panel, right past the product identity, so we can figure out exactly what constitutes one single serving.
And here is an absolutely critical question. How many gummies actually make a serving? You see, assuming one gummy or one drop equals one serving is this super common trap, and it can so easily lead to miscalculating the dose. Every amount listed in the facts panel is generally reported per serving, not necessarily per individual gummy or tablet. So, let's see how this builds our baseline math. Step 1, you identify the serving size. Say a serving is 2 gummies, and the panel lists 100 milligrams. Well, that means one gummy only provides half that amount. Make sense? Then, step 2, check the daily directions. If the directions say to take 2 servings a day, the actual daily total your child receives jumps to 400 milligrams. The big takeaway here? Never ever guess when a label is unclear.
All right, part 3, ingredients and daily values, dealing with numbers and units. Now we're dropping down to the middle of the panel. This is where we run into those complex numbers, the units and the nutrient percentages.
And here is a totally crucial rule to remember. A larger printed number doesn't automatically mean a better or stronger dose. You really have to read the number alongside its unit. Confusing a milligram with a microgram, that can create a dangerous 1,000-fold error because 1 milligram is literally 1,000 micrograms. It's huge. If you ever need to convert these, please don't guess. Just ask a pharmacist. Now, right next to those amounts, you'll spot the percent daily value. This is a helpful comparison tool, sure, but remember, it is not an individualized pediatric prescription. Children's recommended intakes vary wildly depending on their age, sex, and developmental stage. Plus, more than 100% daily value isn't necessarily better. A label boasting several thousand% of a daily value might be appropriate in a highly specific medical context, but for everyday use, it could be totally unnecessary or even risky for your child, especially since these general labels completely ignore total exposure from food and other sources.
Oh, and you definitely want to beware of the phrase proprietary blend. It sounds fancy, right? But this term actually hurts dose transparency. It gives you the total weight of the blend, but completely hides the individual amounts of the ingredients inside it. So, it doesn't mean the product is clinically superior, it just makes it practically impossible to know if something like a stimulant or sedative is in there at a concerning dose for your kid.
Which brings us to part 4, warnings, blends, and seals, or as I like to call it, the fine print. Continuing our journey all the way down to the bottom of the bottle, we hit the other ingredients, the warnings, and those official-looking quality seals.
You absolutely must read the other ingredients list for hidden allergens, sensitivities, or even dental risks from sticky gummy sugars. Honestly, never assume that vitamin is the only thing in that bottle. You also need to check the warnings super carefully. If a label says adult use only, you can't just adapt it for a child by cutting the gummy in half. It doesn't work that way. And never assume that just because there isn't a warning, the product is perfectly safe or won't interact with your child's other medications. Lastly, always keep the bottle until it's completely finished so you preserve the lot number and manufacturer info just in case there's an adverse reaction.
Now, you'll also often see quality seals on these bottles, and while independent testing seals are great for verifying that the product was properly manufactured and is free of certain contaminants,
Keep in mind that a shiny badge on a bottle doesn't replace the need to evaluate if the product is actually medically appropriate, safe, or effective for your specific child. And this brings us to a really sneaky issue: the danger of overlapping ingredients. As parents, we often evaluate each product completely separately, but when you look at a multivitamin, an immunity gummy, and maybe a fortified juice all together, you can see how quickly repeated nutrients, like vitamin C for instance, start to stack up. Brand names can easily hide this duplication, which means your child could be getting way too much of a single nutrient without you even realizing it.
So, let's move to part 5, the system, specifically the 9-part label check. Let's synthesize everything we found into a clear, actionable system that you can use right in your own kitchen.
Seriously, feel free to screenshot this 9-part supplement label check. It starts with identifying the product's actual purpose, then checking serving sizes, doing the math, examining the units, looking for overlap, checking the fine print, and finally assessing quality. I love this because it basically reverses the usual order of persuasion. It forces us to look at the hard substance and the facts before we ever let ourselves get swayed by the colorful advertising on the front. To actually put this into practice, we highly recommend doing a 7-day household label audit. Basically, just take an inventory of every single supplement in your home. Record the active ingredients, the units, and the serving sizes. Keep an eye out for duplicated ingredients across different bottles, flag any adult products being incorrectly given to kids, and for sure safely toss out any expired items. Doing this gives you a crystal clear picture of your family's actual supplement intake.
Finally, part 6, consulting a professional. Because when it comes to safety first, you really shouldn't have to navigate this whole thing alone. If your child takes prescription medications, has a chronic condition, or if you're considering products for things like sleep, mood, or attention, you absolutely need to consult a pediatrician, a pharmacist, or a registered dietitian. And when you go, safety requires reading all products together, so bring every single bottle with you. That means prescriptions, over-the-counter medicines, and fortified drinks. Please don't just bring one label or a quick photo of the front of the bottle. Your healthcare provider needs to see the complete picture to identify any overlap and potential interaction risks.
Also, if you ever need to track down an older label, compare formulations, or check if a label has changed, the NIH Dietary Supplement Label Database is an incredible verification tool. It literally catalogs over 200,000 product labels in the US. Just keep in mind, it's a documentation tool, not an FDA safety endorsement of the product itself.
Ultimately, a supplement label is just a map of what the manufacturer declares. It's not a medical guarantee. If you take only one thing away from this entire explainer, please let it be this guiding principle for your family's health. Read the back before trusting the front. Start with the substance, verify the numbers, and let the actual facts drive your decisions, not the marketing.
The goal here isn't to turn you into some sort of supplement chemist. It's to empower you. So before you hand over that next vitamin or gummy, look at the complete child, their complete diet, and their complete medication picture, and ask yourself, is this product truly necessary? And does their complete nutrition actually match what's on the back of the bottle? Thank you so much for learning with us today. And as always, stay curious.